I will after I get the Zoom up or when we want to start the meeting.
Okay, I'll wait for you to come back to say that you get everything ready for the audience.
Okay,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
no problem.
Carol. And Lisa,
Yes,
you did speak with Commissioner Covey. I did as well, or at least texted with him. So,
that is correct.
okay, good.
He will not be in attendance.
Right.
And so, if you find anything more about
We might, Jenny's live right now.
that is a horrible picture.
It's very, very foggy.
Probably better that way.
Yeah.
So Jenny is setting up a room for, we had some people come in person to the meeting, which that's an option for anybody to do. All of our board members are attending virtually, however, but we will open that room up for anybody who wants to speak during matters of the public. So we're gonna wait till that is all set up and ready to go. We're still missing two commissioners. No, I wonder if she has the background. You know how you blur the background?
Yeah, which, there we go. Okay.
There we go. She heard me.
All right, so that is set up. Are you guys comfortable if you want to talk being this close to the camera? You'll be able to see everyone? Does that work for you?
Sure.
All right.
Yes.
We, the president will let you know when that's time. Okay? Whenever you're ready, Lisa and Lisa.
Well, we don't have all
Not
quorum
quite.
yet, so we are waiting for two more commissioners. We also have more people coming on, and I'm just going to do a little.
One is coming on now.
There's Bart.
I'm
Yep.
here. I made it.
Hey, Bart.
Thank you, Bart. We still need
Stephanie.
Stephanie. We do have quorum though, but we'll wait.
I'm going to try to hang on for a couple more minutes.
Yeah, I'm gonna text her, just make sure.
I'll text her, Lisa.
Okay, thank you.
Just to let Matthew and Anya know, I have made you co-host, so you'll be able to share any documents you need.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Lisa, before we had the change in agenda for today, I have to leave at like 8:10, 8:15. Is that going to be a problem for quorum or anything?
I don't think so. As long as Stephanie's here, we'll be fine. We're not taking any action tonight because it's a committee
Correct.
meeting, official action, so we should be fine.
Lisa, if we do, if she does have to leave before the full presentation from the design team, we could review that with her after the fact. Is that?
Oh, absolutely. I could review that with her without a problem. Yes.
Okay, good. Stephanie is here.
And we thought it would be a light meeting too, you know.
Carol, the
Yeah.
live stream will also be available to watch later if you wanted.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
that's right. You can watch later.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we-
of course.
Recorded,
Great.
so you're good.
Thanks. Yes, we had unexpected news yesterday. So
Yes. All right.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go.
Okay, go ahead, Lisa.
All right, welcome to all of our visitors. I'm Lisa Shepherd, the Executive Director of the Park District. I just want to go over a little bit of our rules here today. Everybody will be muted with the exception of our board. This is a committee meeting and the board is one that does dialogue. There will be an opportunity for public input, call matter of the public, which President Brooks will indicate when that is time. If you would like to speak, there's a little on your Zoom, you should have a little reaction and there's a little hand, kind of looks like this. If you look at my thing, just put that up and Jenny and I and Lisa will look for that. If you can't find that, we also react to, I want to speak. So everybody will have an opportunity to speak. We ask that though, if when you're doing your comments, please keep them civil. Please do not use any profanity. If there's any profanity, we'll immediately go to mute. We also asked if you've heard statements said before, if you could keep them small, I guess you could say,
Brief-
no more than
brief
3
and-
minutes.
and-
Brief
right.
and
Keep
no
them
3
brief.
minutes. So
Yes.
we're going to go ahead and get started. Hope everybody can see and hear. Can all of our board members see and hear me?
Yes.
All right, we're good to go. Can all the members of the public, our members from the public, if you could just indicate with your little hand, if you can see and hear me. We are being recorded tonight. Once President Brooks asked me to call the roll, board members, please indicate that you are here and permission to record. All right, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you. I call the March 1st, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting of Glencoe Park District to order. Lisa, please call the roll and note the time.
It says 7:04. Member or Commissioner Boron.
Here, permission to record.
Commissioner Covey is absent. Commissioner Schneider,
Here, permission to record.
Commissioner Spain,
Your permission to record.
and President Brooks.
Here, permission to record. I
Excellent.
would like to entertain a motion to move the other business agenda item for discussion to this point in the meeting. Can someone move that motion?
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion? Lisa, please, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Boron,
yes.
Commissioner Covey is absent. Commissioner Schneider,
Yes.
Commissioner Spain,
Yes.
President Brooks.
Yes, motion passes. We will begin this. Lisa Shepherd is going to share information on the changing guidelines in regards to masking in early childhood settings. Lisa, could you take it from here?
Excellent. Yes, I will. And Jessica Stockel's also on the call and she'll be
I am.
piping in also throughout this presentation. All right, and about 24 hours ago, the state of Illinois and DCFS changed the mask order for daycare centers. There was no indication they were going to do this prior to that point. It was all indications of everything we were given was only the general public, but it didn't apply to childcare centers. And so like we've seen throughout the pandemic, things changed within 24 hours and we had to look at this new change in policies. We immediately then, upon hearing this, we surveyed our teachers to get their feeling on this change. And we surveyed our parents in our early childhood centers, mostly Children's Circle and ELC, so full day and part-time preschool. As you know, individual daycares, or in our case, park districts, may choose to require precautions above and beyond state requirements. We have the legal authority to do that, or the board does. If we chose to do that, we would just have to call emergency board meeting and do that. So if they're going against what we currently are doing. So what we have been doing is we have been following in the past, all the CDC mandates, the Department of Health recommendations or guidelines, and the governor's mandates when we were making our COVID decisions throughout the last 2 years. But before we wanted to immediately change it and go to mask optional, we wanted to make sure the board understood all the ramifications or underlying factors that may come into play by making that decision, so that everybody's fully understands what we're faced with this. So I'm going to just share my screen. Hopefully I can share my screen here. All right. Can everybody see that? Move this over here. Yes, okay, great. So the first thing we did, like I said, is that we surveyed our parents and our teachers, and we wanted to give you a little update of what this survey, what we found out from the survey. So we invited 203 people to participate. Again, that was from our full and part-time preschool. 147 responded. That was a 72% response rate. It was really good, especially considering we had less than 24-hour turnover on this.
Lisa, the slides aren't updating for individuals to see. We're still seeing the first one.
Really?
Yes.
Jenny? Hold, please. See if Jenny can come in here and help me figure out why that's happening, because it's moving really nice for me. See it? It's going right away. My screen is paused. Why? Hold, please. Here comes Jenny, my trusted assistant. There we go. Let's see if we go move it to the next one. Can you see that? All right,
Yes.
cool. Thank you, Jenny. Isn't she awesome?
Oh, she's incredible.
Okay, so we had 203 people invited to participate, 147 responded, so a 72% response rate, which was fantastic. Like I said earlier, on February 28th, we found out the guidelines changes. So this was the introduction to our survey that went out to the parents. We asked them for feedback before we made a recommendation to our board. The answers to the questions below will not be binding. They were just for informational purposes for you all. We wanted to note and make sure the parents understand that, like many organizations, the Park District is struggling with ongoing staffing shortages. A change in policy may result in a disruption of care, which may include temporary reduction in school hours, reduction in school population, or room closures. And that we're currently surveying our staff to find out what their comfort level in this change of policy is. And I'm going to share those results with you later. We also want to note that staff is unable to monitor if participants are following each individual's family's mask preference. A change is only possible due to continued improvement throughout the region and key COVID-19 metrics. So we could make this change and things could spike back up and we might have to go to a mask policy again. So we want to be clear about that. So when we didn't put this little note on this survey to scare people. We did the same kind of language when we asked parents about a vaccination policy. We're just trying to be honest. And if we have staff that aren't comfortable with everybody removing their masks and they leave us and choose to get employed someplace else, that might result in a staff shortage. And we're just trying to be very honest to our parents about the ramifications of any decision. So, this was, what mask guidelines would you prefer for the Glencoe Park District early childhood programs? So mask optional environment, 65.3%, so 96 of the respondents. Mask required environment, 4.7%, so 51% wanted that. This was just a breakdown of the rooms that responded. And correct me, Jess, if you could chime in on this. We do have some of the infant rooms and toddler rooms. Those are under young twos that aren't masked right now. So jellyfish and frogs are the two rooms that aren't masked, correct?
As well as turtles, yes.
Oh,
are
as well as
unmasked.
turtles. There you go. So we start masking children from starfish on down. We did have a lot of comments, which I've already shared with the board. So any comments, they've received the full survey. Then we we surveyed our staff. And it was a very simple question. If the early childhood department went mass optional, I would. And then we asked, be open to it and continue as normal. So the staff responded 67.9%. Be concerned and continued my work with early childhood. That was 24.3%. And then not feel safe and would begin looking for other opportunities. 8.1%, which is about 3 staff that responded to the survey. We had, again, we sent it to 46 staff, 37 answered with this one. So this 8.1% represent 3 staff. And while you say, oh, that's not a lot, we are really struggling. And as all the parents have been notified, hiring early childhood staff. And as you can see, this has been a struggle for all childcare centers since the pandemic. Restaurants have bounced back really well. Childcare center is still below 88%. So I can have Jess talk a little bit more about what we've been doing to try to find staff for us. So if you want to talk to that a little bit, Jess.
Sure. So I think we shared in the last parent meeting that we have sent at this point, probably close to 1,000 messages on care.com. We use Indeed, the Park District's website. Our classroom coordinators have dedicated quite a bit of their daily routine to answering messages, cold calling people, looking for community outlets. We asked our parents committee to reach out to their networks to see if anyone was interested. We have increased pay wages, been very flexible with hours and, school changes and things like that. We are still seeing not as near as many applicants as we have in the past. 2, the majority of applicants never show up for their interview. And then in the last month and a half, we've hired 3 individuals that never showed up for their first day of work. So that is definitely a struggle for us right now, is the staffing. And, I think one of the things I talked about at our teacher in service was it's not a Glencoe Park District Children's Circle ELC specific problem. This is something that the whole early childhood world is really experiencing. And many of my staff said, oh yeah, I heard my friend's school, my niece's school, so-and-so has had rolling closures. They, asked 5 infants to go home today because they didn't have enough staff show up. So that is definitely a major factor in this decision.
So again, we're not telling you all this to scare anybody. We're just trying to tell the facts. So when we have a conversation on this, so it's more than just debating the pros and cons of wearing masks. What we want to do is make sure we keep on providing excellent childcare service for the working families that need it in our community. So that's a very strong priority for us. So we just want to make you aware of that decision. We also want to make you aware that if we went mass optional, it's different than say the school district going mass optional. When you're explaining to a 7, 8, 9-year-old, when you sit down at the breakfast table and say, I think it's important for our family for you to continue wear a mask, they understand that. When you're saying that to a 3, 4, or 5-year-old and you send them off to school, they're not going to understand that. And it would be very difficult for our staff when the children come in and they're wearing masks with all the other responsibilities they have to guarantee our parents that if they wanted to have that mask option, that we can't guarantee that that would always stay on. That would be constantly trying to figure out who wanted a mask on, who didn't. Kids would drop their mask. We're trying to figure out whose it is. They would see other kids in their classroom. So just like the District 35 approach, we cannot guarantee that that child would always have their mask on. They have their mask on, they take it off for snack, set it by their table, probably get back on. But if they're playing and they drop the mask and staff are helping with something else, we can't guarantee that. So I want to make that clear. We also have not received updated guidance on what quarantine would look like for COVID positive children and those that are close contact. They have not currently updated that. So Jess, can you please explain what we currently can do if people are wearing masks and what happens
Sure.
if children can't wear masks? So like our babies, if they can't wear masks, what's their protocol?
Sure. So for our jellyfish, frogs, and turtles, it is an immediate 10-day closure should a child or adult in the classroom test positive for COVID, because they are not masked. For our older classrooms, we have the option of doing a 5-day closure and welcoming back any children who can properly wear their mask. I did share an email about this maybe 2 months ago about what that means to properly wear your mask over your nose. You know, some of our friends chew on it, lick it throughout the day. Those friends would not be considered for that 5-day quarantine. Similarly, the individual who tested positive is allowed to come back after 5 days again if they are able to wear their mask properly throughout the day. So those guidelines have not changed.
Do we have any indication when we might get updated guidelines for that? Or is it like this where we didn't know and then they just drop it on you?
Yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
what would happen. They said coming soon, and that could be, in the past, that's been anywhere from 2 days to a month. So, you know, I wish I could give you an indication of when that would happen, if it would happen. We do not know. So we probably would have to go if you're a close contact or have COVID. You probably have to be out that 10 days, is what we're gonna leave with that assumption until we hear differently. So that's something to keep in mind also. It also is if say someone's a close contact and allowed to come back after 5 days, but they have to wear a mask, just think how hard it is to go from no mask to also you have to wear a mask for 5 days. And now everybody knows you were a close contact or had COVID and stuff like that. So just keep that in the back of your mind, how that would make a child feel. On the other side, because I'm going to present both sides, and I am pretty much neutral on this issue. This is a hard decision. There's so many pros and cons both ways, and I see all the pros and cons. Glencoe's not in a high transmission area right now. That's not to say that we don't have. We know that there was a closure in GJK just today, so that it's totally not gone. But we don't have a high rate in Glencoe right now. So that is a positive. If it ever went up, we would probably go back to the mask mandate again. So it's not something that we're going to make a decision and it may never come back. If we're giving the guidance from CDC and Health Department, we would go back to that. As you can see, a majority of the parents indicated that they would like to drop the mask mandate. I had a few families send me articles and such. I did forward those onto the board so the board could read those articles before today. So if you are on this call and you sent me anything, I didn't send opinions. I just sent any factual articles or articles that were found in the newspaper. I forward those onto the board for their consideration. The board has also seen all the survey results and comments. So know that if you put any of those comments, you were heard, and the board did read those. So thank you to our board for taking the time, because they pretty much got all that at 4:45 p.m. and probably were reading for the last 2 hours. So Jess, do you want to say anything else regards this issue before we open up the floor for the board?
I don't have much. I think similar to Lisa, this one is a tough one. There are very different varying points of view. There are positive and negatives on both sides. And we also know that no matter where this decision lays, we're going to have parents who don't agree or unhappy. I just want to ask that everyone continue the kindness and support that they've showed the community and each other throughout this pandemic, no matter where this decision lays.
I agree, and remain very civil. I would ask that that if you're emailing Jessica or Bobby or myself, that you remain civil also, and know that these are hard decisions for us also, and nothing about this pandemic brings us any joy. So we're just trying to do the best we can for your children to keep them as safe as we can in our programs and keep this program operating. So I'm going to turn over the board with any questions you may have for us.
Thank you, Lisa. Yes, and just as a reminder to the audience, this is a committee meeting. Committee meetings are working meetings for the board. That's why we have, it's focused on our discussion with each other, and the public comment is one directional. You make your comment. It's not a Q&A. You make your comment, and then it's the next person's turn. So that's just typical everyday public meeting. That's just the way they're run. And, I'll open it up just a little bit just to get the discussion started. I think, we're all in the same mindset. We feel great empathy for the parent population and obviously the children. The amount of angst that you have when you've got these last 2 years that you've been raising, your little one in this environment, it's mind blowing, really it is. And on the other side of that, our staff has been, I don't even have the right words to describe it, but they have borne the weight of the challenges that that all of the requirements and regulations have put upon them and their staff, trying to keep everything afloat to provide something that is desperately needed, which is quality childcare, readily accessible within our community. I'm a strong advocate for that. I was a working parent for many, many years with little ones, and I think I still am traumatized by what I went through trying to deal with childcare. So my heart and my mind and my energy is with you. And I know that my commissioners share that. And so thank you to the staff. And does anyone, let me start by asking of my commissioners, do you have any questions for Lisa or the staff?
I have just a general process question. Because we're in committee and we don't normally vote on something, are we having a discussion and then staff is going to give us their recommendation? Are we discussing what we believe and then we're going to have a separate meeting for a vote? I'm just wondering process-wise, since we don't normally vote on something.
Right, you're correct. In committee, we do not vote on stuff. So what I would say is the board has already given staff direction at the start of the pandemic to follow CDC guidelines and health department guidelines and governor mandates. If they would like to veer off that, procedure or policy that we've been doing since the beginning of the pandemic, then I would recommend, if, for example, if you wanted to go take a step beyond what the CDC is recommending, that we would call a special board meeting in 48 hours and then take a formal vote on that. So the only reason we would need a formal vote is if we wanted to keep the mask mandate in place.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying.
I have a question, and that is, I know we've only had 24 hours, but wondering if, should we choose to have a vote, if we would be able to get information on what the other daycares in the area are doing, or if it's not enough time to survey them. I ask in part just because I think it's helpful to be consistent, but also curious where the staff would go. What options are there, or if it's just leaving the childcare setting, or if it's competition from other childcare centers.
I mean, that's a really good question, Carol. My guess is that those staff would actually be leaving the childcare industry totally. And that's when we've seen a drove of people doing that. But Glencoe Park District is in a unique position. There's only one or two other park districts that have a DCFS licensed childcare. So Vernon Hills is one of those. They have not they got this notice yesterday too, and they're discussing it also. I know Deerfield Park District has a DCFS half-day preschool, and they are mask optional at this point. Jess, I don't know if you, from your context of other daycares, not Park District ones, if you know where they're lying on this.
It is quite mixed. I'm part of a North Shore directors group that went a little wild after the DCFS email was released yesterday. of, what are we going to do? How are we going to move forward? I would say it's probably half and half in terms of people who went mask optional right away and people who are still very much debating. The main one, kinder care, has not gone mask optional. So that's one of the major changes that has not made a decision.
I guess I just have a comment, maybe it's a question as well, rhetorical question, but if we choose to leave it in place, I guess that begs the question, what would be the reason to lift it? Would it be the vaccine? I mean, we've been going by the state guidelines, and so I mean, I just would be curious when whatever decision we make, what our new rules might be. If we'd feel comfort if a vaccine was out for the 5 and under, what treatments were available, even lower transmission rates. So just want to put that out there for discussion.
Those are all really good questions. It seemed that once the school age were able to get vaccinated, there was a more, I guess, likelihood of doing away with the mask mandate. And in combination with the rates that they are now, which I think are in direct correlation with the vaccines. So that would be my recommendation. If you chose to do that, that would be one of the indicators when we could lift that, because there has to be an end to it. We all know that masks is not a long-term solution. So what's a short solution? I mean, that's what I would say. If you chose to keep the mask on, it would either be until vaccine was available and people chose to do that. And it would be their choice. We would not mandate that. And our transmission rate is really low in Glencoe. So I don't know if we could demand lower than what we have right now, but it's kind of like you're weighing between the side effects of wearing masks all day for those younger children, and I know there's speech delays and things like that, and the risk of children getting sick or the risk of children being out of the childcare setting for a long time because of exposures and illness and stuff. So those are both you have to weigh that. And like Justin and I said, there's really no right answer. It's just, what you really feel going forward. Jess, did you have anything else to add to that one?
No, I think those are very good points. And I think that was one of the main reasons for schools that didn't move forward, is that our kids aren't eligible for vaccines at this time. The majority of them.
Right. I think what we only have very small percentage that can get vaccinated right now.
I think I have maybe 10 vaccine cards in my student file. Yeah.
Lisa, can you speak just for a moment? We do have a situation where, the desirable situation would be that teachers are also unmasked, but of course, mask optional means some, many, most, I don't know, will wear masks, which unfortunately does not help this real problem that we have with speech delays and so forth. I just want to, there's really nothing I guess you can say about it, except that that's something for everyone to consider, that unfortunately this isn't going to solve that part of the problem.
Right. It would be mask optional for the teachers. So if they felt that they want to wear a mask, we would support that decision of theirs.
Okay.
How many of the kids, sorry, I feel like I'm hogging the floor. So
no, please, Carol, you're in it.
Yeah, you're in it. You're living it.
So, I assume the staff, are properly masked, which is a big win. But in terms of the kids, how many of them really are?
Jess, I'm throwing that to you.
Yeah. Sorry. That is a great question. When we first put masks on, because if you remember when we opened emergency care, children did not have masks at the time because it wasn't recommended for children under 5. I was very much like, this is never going to work. And our kids have really adapted to it. I would say our 4s and our 3s in particular, there might be a handful of kids who, like I said, it's below their nose. It's just too big for their face. You know, for those of you on the call who have little children, you know, like their ear cartilage isn't fully developed, their nose bridge isn't fully developed, so the masks just don't fit their face as well as they do adults. I would say for our 2s, it's a little different. They're still sensory seeking, so they're chewing their masks, they're, you know, wiggling them around. We see when they get emotional, they take it off because they want us to see their emotions. So it would very much be a class to class decision. And that's why I said in that email, you know, please don't be offended if we tell you that your child really does need a 10-day closure. It's all developmentally appropriate behavior. That's just where we are. But that's a very good question.
Erin, how old is your little one?
Jenny, can you unmute? Okay.
Oh, he's 22 months.
Okay, so he's not there yet. Okay, all right. Yeah,
But he's close in April.
yeah, he is close, right?
I will admit my 2-year-old is in the not masked properly category. It's really hard to find one that fits.
Wow, yeah.
She's a newer 2. That's
Yeah.
fair.
I mean, and that's a good factor to consider. How well are they even wearing them? And we will continue as the weather gets nicer, they will not have to wear their masks outside. So as we start, you know, gearing up in nicer weather, we try to spend as much time outside. But obviously, you know, we have a big program. We only have so much room outside also. So it's not all day. So
I'm not
something to
sure if
consider
you
also.
can, sorry, I'm not
Go
sure
ahead.
if you can share this or if you know this, because I know that the survey didn't have names on it. Do you know if the 3 teachers who answered that question, if they're in a 2 and under classroom or if they're in an older classroom?
No, that was it was a blind, right?
Yeah, we kept it anonymous so that they would be very honest.
Mhm.
Just wondering.
Good. So really the question in front of us, commissioners, is whether we can, is really quite simple and binary, I guess. One is that we have an emergency meeting to change course from the beginning of the pandemic to go against CDC guidelines, or simply provide our support to staff to continue in the manner that they have operated for the past 2 years, which is to comply with CDC guidelines, which would be, in this case, mask optional, with a caveat that we are waiting to find out about quarantining times. So that's really in front of us. And I'll just look to you as you know what you'd like to say.
Lisa, did you want to open the floor for comments for matters of public on this and then go
Oh,
back?
yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
That's okay.
Okay. So, of course, I would like to open up, I would like to open up the floor for comments on this issue. It is our practice not to address questions at this time. However, we will take comments under advisement. Is there anyone who would like to make a verbal comment? If so, indicate by raising your virtual hand, and please limit or your hand if you're in the room over there. And I'm looking to see there are some bodies in there. Limit your comments to 3 minutes per person. I do actually have to run a stopwatch, so it really is 3 minutes. When we have several people, that's just mandatory, or the meeting's gone forever and we have more business on our agenda. So I will now open the floor, and I have first up Bridget Daly.
Hi, that's me. So I'm Bridget Daly. My daughter is a starfish. So she is, I guess, almost 3 at this point now. and my comment to you all, I certainly don't envy the position everybody's been in for the last, 24 months at this point. But, Illinois has been kind of consistently one of the most cautious states as it comes to COVID protocols. We've seen that, kind of across the board, especially with our, neighboring states. And I think that a lot of that has paid off. You mentioned Glencoe and surrounding areas, not a lot of transmission now at this point, which is why, I think you guys made the decision at the beginning of this to follow CDC, Department of Public Health, and DCFS guidelines. So to veer from that kind of makes the Park District a policymaker, not a policy follower. And so I would just, as a parent, and I'm a parent, I'm a mask optional parent. I'll say it. I'm one of the 67%, whatever it was. I would really want to see real data on why it's safer for my, kid to be still in a mask, why it's better, why the speech delays and the socialization that, she would get from not being in a mask, why that's not as important, at this point. And then I think, Carol, you had mentioned it too, but what ends this? What metric is going to be there in place? And, I wouldn't want that to be a moving target metric either. So that's, hopefully you don't have to play any orchestral music to get me to stop talking. But that's kind of my, my feedback. Thank you guys very much for opening this up. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Bridget. Thank you very much. And I will just move on here to Robert Gray.
All right. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you all for letting us participate in this. I'm a father of 3 sons in Glencoe, one of which is in ELC, the other 2 are in the school district. I first wanted to say how much I appreciate the yeoman's work you all have done. This is unbelievable. You guys are doing a lot of things that you never signed up to do. Having to navigate public health guidance, go through reams and reams of scientific data, really weigh risk and benefit options for life and death decisions is just probably not in the job description that any of you signed your name to. So I appreciate all that. I will say, as a physician and surgeon, that is part of the job description I signed up for. And so I am really good at going through reams of data and weighing life and death decisions on people in front of me and people who I don't even know. I love my kids as much as we all love our kids, and I love my kids' friends as much as I love my kids, I'm pretty sure. That being said, I would never do anything to jeopardize the health or safety of my kids or anyone else. And I just want to be a voice of assurance to those people who might be uncertain. It's time. It's past time. This is safe. These kids are safe. The risk of serious illness and disease is extremely low, always has been. Masks probably never really helped that much to begin with. But certainly at this point, vaccines, mitigation strategies, low transmission rate, this is the time. And we know it can't go on forever. It's been 2 years. Some of my kids may make it all the way through early childhood to the school district before we change things, if we don't change them now. So I just really want to assure people, this is what I do, and I would not steer you wrong on purpose. I probably wouldn't steer you wrong on accident either. I think it's time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gray. And we talked. Okay, Nisha. Hello, Nisha.
Hi. I'm Nisha. My daughter's in Dolphin's classroom. She turned 2 right around the start of the pandemic and really has had no problems wearing her mask properly. It is a little bit of a struggle, a little bit of an expense to find well-fitted masks, but I do think it's possible. I think we've properly masked in our household, during times of exposure, day in and day out, and I don't think it's a concern. I think if you get a bunch of physicians in a room, they're going to disagree. And I think also as a physician, I have been really surprised, like working more in the front lines and seeing how drastic our outbreak was in December, and needing to care for our children in a primary care setting in a way that we were not expecting to do so, with staff shortages during the holidays, et cetera. It was scary. And that was just so recently. I agree that we've come a long way in terms of COVID. And I don't think masks are going to be forever. But I want to remind everyone that children do well with acute COVID infections. It's typically not life-threatening for their acute illness, but there's the risk of MIS-C, or the multisystemic inflammatory syndrome of children, is real. And children do have life-threatening and long-term effects from that. I, as a pediatrician in this community, I do not think that that masking causes speech delay. If your child has speech delay or other developmental concerns, masking can prevent them from appropriately communicating, but certainly is not a cause of their speech delay. So I think there are adaptations and that can be put forth to prevent speech delay in those that are already developmentally delayed. So I really don't think that's a concern. Infants are able to acknowledge expression, even with or without masks. So I think if your child is normally socially and speech developing, there should not be a concern from that standpoint. I do think that it would be appropriate to continue everybody to be universally masking until we have a vaccination for everyone, and we're able to make sure that, at least the kids have the option to be vaccinated. I don't think that December was that far from now. So I think marinating on this for a couple more months is not harmful. And you guys can continue to reevaluate that decision in the future. And I just I also am really grateful for all that you guys do. I think the program is just incredible. I think the teachers are incredible. I think you guys do a fantastic job of keeping our kids safe and educating them. And I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to take advantage of the childcare throughout the pandemic. And I'd absolutely love to see this program continue and thrive and minimize unnecessary closures. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Erica Block.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for having this meeting tonight for the parents to speak and listen at the same time. I know not everyone's able to attend, but those that are here, it's very much appreciated. I have a son who's in the ELC 2s, and I have a daughter who's in the ELC 4s. We've been with the Park District program since summer camp in 2019, and we've seen many teachers stay, we've seen some go, but we also are very appreciative from my family and other families of the teachers in the ELC programs that our children have, and even the staff. We're very appreciative of the staff, everyone there. Also the staff in the Children's Circle that help out when they can with the ELCs. I will say my daughter is one of the few that are vaccinated, and she has an early fall birthday. So I think just with the timing of some kids and depending on when their age lies, and the fact that the whole process for a child to do the vaccine is the same as adult, it's a 6-week process. It can take time, and sometimes with that timing, it can prevent a kid from being in school if there is a closure due to the requirements that are in place right now. I will also say my son is one of the kids that does have a speech delay. I think it was just being at home for a little bit, probably something also developmental, but it's something that he gets care for, and he has no problems wearing a mask, and neither does my daughter. Sometimes when they do get frustrated, yes, they all rip off their mask or they don't wear it properly because they're there for a full day of school. So there is that. But otherwise, I feel that we should follow the DCFS recommendations. I agree, it was very sudden and surprising when they announced it on Monday. I don't think anyone was expecting that. But I will say, if we are being told that's what we're following in the state of Illinois for recommendations. I just believe we should just go off what our most immediate referral responses. I know with the CDC, that's kind of our guiding principles that we look at, but I think we should kind of go towards our most immediate governmental agency that we are referring to. I myself am a city planner, so I understand how these tiers work and who you kind of look to next, from park district government to local government, state government, and federal. But at this point, since we are in Illinois and we are following the DCFS for our childcare, I believe we should follow their guidelines and recommendations for travel, for masking, and that's where I think we should go from. That's all I have. Thank you.
Very nice. Erica, thank you so much. Abby Paulson, did you already speak or perhaps you didn't? Abby?
No, I
Paulson?
did not yet. I would love to.
Okay. Okay, Abby, go ahead.
So I actually have been at Children's Circle for going on over 4 years now. And I just kind of want to reiterate what Jessica and Lisa Shepherd had said. For us, losing 3 staff is critical. Right now, like that would be, I'm obviously not in Jessica's position, but I feel like that would incredibly make it incredibly difficult. As it is now, there's all the staff taking in extra hours. It's stressful. And from a teacher perspective, if it's 3, maybe it would end up being 1, and maybe it would end up being 5, whatever it is. It's so hard right now with staff. It's really, really difficult. And also to kind of just reiterate what Nisha said, just the fact of kind of reevaluating maybe in a few weeks and not just jumping right into this, I think is also a great idea. As she mentioned, December was not that long ago. And that was obviously a crazy time also with staff. Basically everyone was out, whether it was contact or whatever, it was just crazy. So again, just for us, losing 3 staff, as Lisa Shepherd said, it doesn't seem like a lot. It is really, that would be terrible. So I just wanted to say that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Abby. Let's see here. Karen Lloyd. Sorry, Karen, you didn't have your hand up. I am looking for hands and I'm wondering if Eve Angulo, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Go ahead, Eve.
Hi, I just wanted to reiterate the thanks and all you guys have done at Children's Circle. I have a daughter in Dolphin and my son is in Turtle. I just wanted to say my opinion as well. I practice as an allergy and immunology specialist who cares for adults and children. I have done so throughout the whole pandemic. I'm very involved in monitoring of COVID metrics and the management of COVID. My concerns do lie. I'm very happy to see that the CDC is obviously moving forward in making recommendations and moving back to normalcy. I am very happy to see that actually, but my concern does lie with the young unvaccinated children, in addition to at-risk staff. In the care that I provide for patients that are kids and adults, I have seen, horrible things, and that, to be honest, is not something that I feel is fair to put, staff and children at risk for, in particular when we may actually have a potential vaccine in the coming months. So I kind of echo what was said. I understand the CDC has, changed their guidance, but I don't see at this point what the rush is. Just like Nisha had stated, there is not evidence to support that masking is the cause of speech delay. So I do also agree that I think this is moving a little bit too fast. I would really support waiting, either until they can be fully vaccinated or putting it at an endpoint, like 1 month or 2 months, like end of March, end of April, before making such a decision. We've also been at low points like this in the pandemic during these 2 years, just to see rates go up again. And we continued masking through that time period as well. And nothing has changed for our children in particular. They still remain unvaccinated. So I just want to give, my 2 cents that although I'm happy that things are progressing in the pandemic, I still have major concerns about putting those kids at risk. Although I know the risk is low, it's not without risk, especially for long-term consequences that our kids can't even vocalize. They can't tell us if they're experiencing loss of sense of smell or excess fatigue, which I've seen amongst many adults and kids. And that risk is not small, unfortunately, for kids and adults who have COVID. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you for all you guys do. I know this isn't an easy decision to make. So
Thank you very much, Eve.
It looks like there's someone in the meeting room. If they could move up to the chair, whoever wants to speak.
Yep, I'm going to do that. So I'm entering the room now virtually, and if anybody in that room would like to speak, you're all going to have to come up to the chair. And just state your name, please, and you may start.
Sure, thanks for having me. My name is Jim Wagoda. I've got 2 kids in Children's Circle. For 2 years now, we've been repeatedly told by the Park District that its hands were bound and to follow the requirements of the DCFS and IDPH, so they wouldn't jeopardize the daycare's licensing. Although I didn't like that, I understood that. But the dynamic it's changed now. And that's why we've seen mask mandates lifted almost everywhere in the country, including Glencoe has no mask mandate, Glencoe schools have no mask mandate, Watts has no mask mandate. Our kids can go almost anywhere in this country, sporting events with tens of thousands of people and not wear masks. They can go to restaurants and not wear masks. They can even be in the TAKIF center, just not in the daycare and not wear masks. They can go to GJK and not wear masks. The only people in Glencoe right now that cannot wear masks are children ages 2 to 5 in the daycare. Is that actually doing anything? Anyways, I also want to put highlight a point where where does this end? And several people have said it should end when these kids can get vaccines. And I don't buy that point for a second, because the CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, I think her name is, has already admitted that the vaccine right now is ineffective against transmission to other people. So if someone chooses to get the vaccine, it's strictly for the reason of protecting themselves against serious effects of it. I also want to share a couple facts to help the board assess the risk here. In the following communities, not one person under the age of 30 has died from COVID: Glencoe, Winnetka, Highland Park, Wilmette, Kenilworth, Northfield, Northbrook, Glenview, Deerfield. I stopped searching at that point. That's not one person under 30 years old that has died. In those same communities, 95% of the COVID deaths have been in people 60 years of age or older. So again, how many people are we actually protecting while jeopardizing our kids' health for all the negative side effects that comes with wearing a mask? And finally, on when this ends, we know now that the vaccine is not in a real ending point, or there's no reasonable basis for saying that. And that we've already admitted, it's been admitted tonight by our board, that the transmission rate is already so low that that's not going to be an ending point. So where's the ending point? A couple people have commented that there's no there's been no evidence that there's speech disruptions by wearing a mask. There's tons of evidence out there to the contrary. I don't know what the basis is for saying that, but there's significant evidence to the contrary, and I'm happy to provide citations if the board would like.
Okay, you have reached your 3 minutes, a bit over. Thank you so much for your comment.
One final thing.
Okay, make it short.
If the board's decision to continue wearing a mask at Children's Circle, if that's the final decision, I certainly hope that the decision makers are prepared to defend that with very good factual basis.
Thank you very much. Is anyone else in the room interested in making a comment?
Yes, one more person.
Yes.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Jennifer. I have a daughter in Belugas and a son in ELC2s. I think most people kind of know that I'm for a mask optional policy. I just kind of wanted to talk about the point where everyone keeps talking about with the survey regarding the teachers and the percent of teachers, the 3 teachers who selected that they would look for other opportunities if we went mask optional. I think a lot of people are talking about it like they are going to be quitting tomorrow. I mean, just selecting that they are going to look for other opportunities doesn't mean that they're going to find another opportunity and that they're necessarily going to be leaving our school. Alternately, we also did not ask, the teachers, if we keep a mask mandatory policy, how many teachers would leave because of that decision? Because that could be equal to the number 3, if not more, because if a teacher can leave to go to a mask required school, they could also leave our school to go to a mask optional school. So I think that argument could really go either way based upon the teachers' viewpoints. And I think another point to consider is if, majority of the parents, 67% said they wanted to have a mask optional policy, how many of those parents would also look elsewhere to go to a mask optional school if we stayed mandatory? And if that would be worth losing those parents, because then you wouldn't even need all the teachers that would be at the school. So I just think that's another point to consider. And that's all I want to say. So thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. And is there anyone else hand raised or within the room that would like to speak? And unless I'm missing someone, I don't think we're good, Lisa. I think we're good. Okay. So on to, I think it's, those comments were very articulate and certainly spanned the breadth of opinion that exists across the community, and also kind of within us, opposing thoughts within ourselves. So I would say,
Lisa, I think there might be another hand raised.
Yeah, I did see that, but I was moving on. I'm gonna say yes to Jackie. I don't know, Jackie, if you're there. Please, make your comment now.
Hi, sorry, I joined in last minute.
Okay.
I'm the TWS teacher in the children's circle program. So my age group is actually the youngest group who has to wear masks. And when Jessica first told us that, I will say I agreed with her and I thought it was impossible. It was not going to work. And although it's taken a couple months, they've done really, really well with keeping their masks on all day. Obviously with the exception of eating and sleeping and when we're outside. I don't know what research people have been talking about that the masks are not causing speech delays. I don't know if that's a main reason or an added reason, but the truth of the matter is a lot of our kids are having speech delays and the masks are also adding anxiety, which we've seen on a lot of kids now. So I would obviously, not obviously, but I am for mask optional. There's just such a difference in our kids when they have a mask and when they don't. And we've lost a part of like who they are and who we are as teachers, because it is hard to teach expression. It's hard to teach feelings. It's hard to really overemphasize what we're saying for those kids who have speech delays. So I would just like to see us be able to continue to move forward and to help those kids who need help as much as we can. That's it. Thank you.
That's great. So rarely do we hear from a teacher actually in the trenches, and holy smokes, Jackie, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That is such a tough job.
Thank you.
Under any circumstances.
Absolutely.
Caring for little ones in a group setting that's tough. That's commendable. So thank you. And thanks for taking the time to come and speak.
Thank you for hearing me out.
Okay, so, and I don't think I'm missing anyone else now. And I'm trying to read some of the comments. Some are just too long. I just want to march forward with our discussion. Commissioners, what do you have to say? What are your thoughts?
I guess I'll go ahead and
go ahead.
Say I think I have a daughter. I don't know. I think who might be having speech delay issues. as a parent of a 2-year-old whose only or her only known experience is the pandemic, I do have some concerns for social development. I think that we would be consistent in following the state guidelines and leaving that decision to them. I think that no matter what we do either way, I'm not going to feel like we made the perfect decision. I think that this is a case where there's a lot of facts on both sides that I think could, but I think in that regard, I would leave it to DCFS and those that have the authority and facts set beyond what I have available.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Carol, and thanks for speaking from a couple of vantage points, both in the program and responsible for overseeing the program. So I do appreciate that. Bart, I know this is not necessarily your area of expertise, but I'm sure you've, listened very carefully to the comments. They sure were interesting. Do you have any thoughts that you'd like to share?
Sure. And I think that this discussion and people's comments were very helpful to hear. And there's obviously a lot of concern everywhere, including everyone at the Park District who puts a lot of time into this. I guess my main thought is, I've been on the board for maybe 8 months now, and the thing I just see time and again is there is a tremendous amount of knowledge and expertise and ability to do things really, really well. And for parents who are listening, I was on the village nominating committee before I was a co-chair. And one of the things I realized is in Glencoe, we have excellent governance here. But if you want to look at the entity that's the most dynamic, it's Lisa Shepherd and the Parks District. Whether it's opening up new programs at different seasons, hiring kids, training them in the summer, ramping that program down, programs for adults, adding new features. For a dynamic situation like the pandemic, I think Lisa, Bobby, Jessica, it's just an excellent team to make a very complicated decision. So I feel very comfortable with advice I get from the leadership at Glencoe Park District. I also think, while we have a lot of expertise in a lot of areas related to the Park District, we don't have expertise in healthcare. We've heard people tonight who have personal hands-on knowledge dealing with adults and children who've been sick or haven't been sick, or just issues that come up. We're getting into an area where I don't think we have people whose kids are on our program who have expertise, but I don't know that we'll ever have medical expertise. We don't have doctors on staff. And that's why I would probably lean towards continuing to follow the advice of experts in the medical field and for the state. And rather than try to assume that authority ourselves, defer to someone with more expertise.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bart. Don't want to put you on the spot, Stephanie, but only speak if you feel you have something you'd like to share.
I don't really have anything new that anyone else hasn't said. We have always followed the school district. I think that has, not always, because we had to follow DCFS. So that was the big difference there. In general, though, with other things, we have followed the school district. And like everyone has said since the beginning, we have followed DCFS. So my comfort level is staying the course with that, because again, we are not the experts and that is what we've looked to, but with full acknowledgement that if DCFS in a month changes their guidance, and that is our rule, that we will have to go back and follow their guidance again. So if in a month they say we have to mask, I think we should just be aware of that and acknowledge that that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, fair enough, Stephanie. Very good. And I did speak with or texted with Commissioner Covey, who was called out a kind of last minute for something that he had to attend. And his first thought was, I align with the teachers, whatever the teachers want. And of course, that becomes complicated as well. It's very difficult to that's not simple. But then after speaking and hearing a little bit more about it, he is favoring sort of what I'm hearing on the board now, which is to comply with the DCFS, IDPH, CDC, all of those agencies that oversee these larger issues. And, it's interesting. I have to say today I did, or maybe it was yesterday, I had to reach out to commissioners on a matter about us attending an open meeting and wearing masks. Are we comfortable? Or do you want to be masked? Do you want to not be masked? Is anybody uncomfortable with this? And, what I got back was just, what I sense to be a level of weariness and ambivalence about things. It's like, I don't even have an opinion. Just tell me what to do. And although one commissioner did express that we just need to comply with what the state is now saying. So, I get it. This is complicated. It's exhausting. The staff is exhausted. And I do not want to force them to have to force their own decision upon the district. So I would agree with my fellow commissioners. We're continuing to follow the guidelines. Carol, you had brought up really the most salient point that I heard this evening, which is, what criteria are we looking for? Although another one of our speakers said, yeah, but we shouldn't, why are we rushing this? It's been 24 hours. We need time to think about all the aspects. I agree with both of those, but I really do think the result is going to land in the same place, even if we took more time to think. So Carol might have spun off now. She had something she had to run to. And I'm guessing, oh, she's muted, but I know it's important. Whatever it is, it's important. So Lisa, I think now you have your direction, or do you have something else you'd like to hear from us?
Nope, I have the direction to continue our policy following CDC, Health Department, and governor mandates. So we will proceed in that direction and do our best to keep everybody safe and happy and in school. So thank you all for your time and input on this matter.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lisa. And we have much more to do and guests waiting to speak. So we are going to move on to a presentation. I'd like to introduce two from our design team. We have Matt Duggan, who I know we have met before, and Anya Solch. Anya, could you pronounce your name for me, please?
Schultz.
Oh, like Schultz, but
it is like Schultz. Yes.
Schultz. It is Schultz. Not even like, just it. Okay.
It's not like it is.
Yeah. Anya Schultz from Wright and Company to present the final designs of Watts Recreational Center. We are so excited to see these.
Yes, we're excited. It's I believe you're able to share the screen if you'd like. And
okay. Hopefully everyone can hear me, and I'll do my best. I will be the MC tonight for us and flipping slides, so bear with my technical skills here.
To give anybody in the audience an update on this, we received a $1.5 million park grant for Watts Recreation Center for ADA and ice rink and facility improvements. And so this is the final design presentation after a year of working on this. And we're almost ready to go out to bid. So to give a context to anybody who may be in the audience who hasn't been a part of this before. So throw it off to you guys.
All right. Well, thank you. And in our world, nothing's ever final. So.
True.
So it is so I may be going over some things that the board has seen probably at the fall of last year. And that's just kind of get us refreshed, and then talk a little bit about the exterior design and some of the improvements that are happening at the facility. And then I'll pass it over to Anya, and she'll kind of take you inside the building. So for most of you, you probably know the facility well. It's a very cherished recreation facility in Glencoe. It sits on Randolph Street and actually kind of borders the property with South School. And in addition to being your ice operations, it also is a before and after program for the kids at South School and other locations. So the part of the success of the park grant was introducing new programs for youth programs, both active and some learning programs. And so through, I'm going to take you through some of the exterior things that we're doing to the facility. Start with the rinks. Both the main rink and the studio rink will have their what are referred to as dasher boards, their walls replaced around the perimeter. They're aged, they're starting to fail, and we'll be improving those because the ice operations is very popular and kind of known around the entire area. So that's one of the things that's included as part of this program. But really what's more important is the building itself. And one of the things that if you've been to the Watts, it can be a little bit challenging on orienting yourself to which entrance and which door to go in. And one of the things we want to do is really start to define the main building entrance for both the facility, but also then to introduce a new entrance for the before and after school program, kind of having their kids have their own entrance. So the building kind of then becomes 2 points of entry. What you're looking at now is an aerial of the site with the Randolph Street on the bottom and north being to your left on here. One of the things we're doing is widening that kind of entry path to the main building entrance, which is set back from the road a bit. So that's one reason why it's been difficult over the years. And then we're downplaying what is now a little bit more of a prominent walkway up to that secondary door. So that'll kind of help really guide the public into that main entry. On the north side, there's an existing walk that carries from South School all the way down to Randolph that a lot of the students use. Off of that, we're putting a brand new entrance in for the kids club so that it's kind of both visible from the street, from the parents maybe picking up or dropping off their kids, but also visible from the school. Here's an aerial view of kind of some of those things that are happening on site. One of the things we're exploring is the possibility of introducing a new player box to the smaller studio rink that would offer some new programs, possibly a sled hockey or some program like that might be an option for that smaller rink. We're really looking at exploring some more outdoor space for the public as well. What's shown here is kind of taking advantage of that end of the runway in between the two rinks and introducing outdoor, possibly a wood burning or a gas burning fireplace and some seating out there for the public. Equally important, but less glamorous, we're really defining a perimeter to this to kind of keep both the public safe that are using it and kind of avoid some late night entries into the property. So we've extended the fence around the property, and really once you get in the building, that gives you access free through both rinks, and also you can get to the player boxes, which now you really have to go outside of that fence to get to. This, and I'll go into a little more detail, but this is the new entrance for the kids club. You can see the sidewalk that links Randolph back to South School, and that entrance really pops out of the building, and that becomes kind of very much an icon that's visible from both sides. Internally, one of the things that was very critical to the grant was improving accessibility in the building, and that's both on ground level but also kind of vertically through the building. So in the heart of the building, we're planning a new elevator that'll actually go from the basement level all the way up to the second floor. That'll allow anyone to kind of have access to that facility. There's some team rooms in the basement level. There's also some new program spaces upstairs. So now we kind of have that ability to get move up and down within the building itself. On the first floor, most of the work is related to defining that entry and kind of creating a little bit more space for the staff as people check in at the skate desk. So we've got a little bit more of kind of a queuing area, and we've enclosed a vestibule that kind of, instead of the doors constantly being opened into the people at the reception there, we'll have an airlock vestibule. And it'll also give a little bit more space for people checking in and renting the skates. In the skate room itself, we look at really providing some sit-down space for parents, maybe to see both rinks. There'll be a countertop there if they want to do some work while their kids are out on the ice. But then it also comes a little bit of a community room as well. There's an existing program room on the north side for the kids club. Right now it's divided by a wall down the middle that's rarely, if ever, used. And in order to kind of take more advantage of the entire space, we've just opened up that room so that you get a larger group of kids in there. This is that entrance off the north for the kids club. You do have a vestibule there. We call it the mud room, so the kids can kind of kick off some of their muddy boots if they have them and kind of get ready to go in. But it also becomes a waiting area for parents that may be picking up their kids. It's glass on the three sides, so it'll allow both the parents and the kids to see the street and see if someone's arrived to pick them up. What's really new, though, is on the second floor, right directly above that existing program room. We're introducing a brand new program room to kind of help double the size of what space they have available for those kids clubs. And adjacent to it, which is right now a large storage room and some former offices, we're opening that up to also provide some additional space for different programs. That might be an art program or an active play program on that second level for the kids. Again, linked to the center by an elevator that allows all people of all abilities to get up and down to the building itself. Here's a view from Randolph Street. And the design of this new building really wanted to both be respectful and contextual with the existing building, but to be somewhat playful for the kids. So you can kind of see what I think we've described in the past is we're pulling out this new entrance using the same pitched roof form, but kind of pulling it out almost like a box of matches or a drawer that pulls out that kind of shows more of the bones of the building, and then kind of pops its nose out so you can see it from both directions. And again, there's glass, very transparent in here, so people in and out of the building can see some activity. Just outside on those good days that we may have, there's a small gathering area that could be some outdoor class. It could be just a waiting spot for the kids as they wait for their rides, kind of a hangout spot that'll be really focused to allow that the kids club has their entrance, and then the rest of the facility will also have its entrance. Here's a view of that same new addition that we're doing, and this is more from that soccer field that's on the north side. That's probably a refresher for what you might have saw in the fall. But from here, we kind of take it into the interior of the building. So I'll have Anya kind of walk you through what the look and feel of the interior of the building will be.
Okay, I'll wait for the interior to show up. I think, I don't know if everybody has the same delays that I do, clicking through the slides. All right.
They came up fine on my end.
Yes, I know what you were talking about, but I think the slides were, coming like a few seconds late. But now I see it. And so this is the main entry, and when the doors are open, this is the main lobby area and reception. And what we have done here, we opened up the wall that currently has this little window, little reception window, and right behind currently there are racks with rentable skates. So what we're trying to do here, make it more welcoming, make it more open, but also at the same time, very, very functional and durable with the choice of the materials that we are using. The reception desk is very long for a reason. There's option for a couple of people to to welcome and serve the users of the facility. The corner desk, the corner black metal with the logo is also, so this is the main rental space. So this person sitting here has the ability to quickly go back to pick up the skates. You can see the skates in the storage room behind. It can lay a lot of skates along those very long reception desk. We know that this is quickly happening. You need to like rent out 20 skates at the same time, and it's very quick. We don't want people to get stuck in the lobby area, but also it offers the view into the lounge space. And there is also this secondary black metal station for a person to sit on, and it is the support for the first person, but it's also in case there is somebody on the walk by window to the outside. You see this little window that is added there. It was added during the pandemic. It also can be used for this reason. It also provides the views into the small rink area, the studio rink area. The other black door is to the office area. This is currently where Adam sits, and he would have a view into both rinks and also can support the reception operations. So this is when the ice and the rigs are in season and the doors are open, and you can see into the rental spaces of the skates. And Matt, if you click to the next one. Okay, now the doors are closed, and you can see this is when you don't need to look at the skates. This can serve as more like a community center in the summer seasons, for example. Next one.
Not to mention that area makes it for like, if there's a party, if someone rented out the whole building, they could use that for serving food or snacks or bar or something.
They could, yes. And we know the materials are super durable because we know every single piece of finish that we pick, it has to be puck resistant, and yes, and you know, it's just skate resistant. It's super durable. We were reminded this many times. So this is also where you see the flooring is throughout. This is a skate-proof flooring. This is a rubber flooring it's safe to walk on skates. It is similar to what it is right now. We're picking from 5-color selection. This is the industry standards. You know, we're making our best choice. We think the blue is the way to go. There are some other colors that they're not a good options. So here is the lounge area, what we call the lounge area with the seating, and we have a vending machines. We have a brand new ceiling, brand new lighting, brand new finishes, paints. We're refreshing the entire color palette. And Matt, if you click to the next one. Almost there. Okay, so now we're looking towards the elevator and towards the coffee station area. They are in the same space. They're just getting the new refreshed look. And now we're getting also the sneak peek into the skates area. The doorways are getting new look. They're a little bit more modern with the black metal steel frames. And the next one. Almost there. I know you're clicking. Okay, so now we are in the skate room. We're looking towards the 2 toilet rooms and what we call a feature wall with the TV. And again, this wall will get a special treatment. This is a new material on it. Right below the TV, it is a bench that is suspended on the brackets. It's open below. It has a little bit of what we call a backsplash. This is all for durability. This is all solid surface. This is very hard material. It gives a feeling of wood, but it's not wood. The wood is not really a good material to use in facility like this. And on the left-hand side, there is more benches. There are hooks for coats. there's open space below the benches for duffel bags, for boots, for shoes. We know this space is packed and it's going to be full when it's open. The next one. And this is our last view that we prepared for today. So this is the same room, just view the other direction. This is the counter that is that we're providing along the windows. It will have some plug-in spots for phones or for laptops or for iPads, whatever is being used, probably by parents watching the kids, as Matt said. On the right-hand side, we have this wall with the hooks. It is wall covering that is also very durable, so we don't have just a painted drywall. It will stay longer this way, and it just adds a little bit more flavor to the space. And this is our last slide.
All right. I'm sorry for the delay on that. I didn't realize that the slides were coming up delayed.
You were just very fast, Matt. The slides were just couldn't catch up.
Well, what do you all think?
It's beautiful. I'm having trouble picturing like behind the main room where that space is, because I think it's just the orientation. Like right now it's one big room and then there's seems to be a room behind it, but that's not really there right now, right?
Well, there is an office, like, so when you go in the office, you walk up like 2 stairs and there's like office space above it. We're pretty much taking that all out. So that's why the illusion's different, because when you walk in, you see the front desk and then the skates right behind them. And then behind that wall, you go upstairs, there's an office up there. So we're just reorientating the space and making it more convenient and a way to hide the skates when we don't need them, and you utilize that space better year round.
Yeah, no, that looks great and having it put away. The bathrooms, they seem to be in the same place. You just change the orientation of where the door is, like the door is straight instead of on the side, but they're in the same location. Those aren't moving.
Right. I don't believe they're moving, right?
No, bathrooms are staying where they are, exactly at the same place. All the bathrooms in the skates room and those on the outside. We're providing it like a soffit leading to them a little bit. Just we're trying to organize the space, make it look a little bit nicer. But the bathrooms are exactly in the same spots. There's currently like 2 stalls in each one, and they're super narrow, and there's like only like 2 foot for a sink. So we're converting them to ADA compliant, more comfortable family bathrooms with more space. They're single user right now. That's the main difference for the bathrooms, I would say.
Yeah, they're terrible. I mean, you can't even open the door to get in. It's like
that's right. That's right.
On
yes.
the right-hand side, is there still an opening to go down to the basement, or that's not necessarily?
That'll still be there.
Yep.
Okay.
There'll still be stairs going to the basement level.
You pretty much have to for fire, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And then one more question. Under the TV where you put that wood, is that meant for seating or is that decoration?
It is meant for seating. We recognize there is a very limited space where we can put those benches. So we are pretty much using every single wall that is available for that. So we were debating if we should take it out and make it more decorative and feature-like. And we had a lot of ideas, but ultimately we decided to put the bench back there just to make it more usable.
Yeah, more functional.
More functional.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie, was that it, or did you have something else? Well, you can chime in again if something comes up.
I love the fireplace. I didn't know if that was in scope and budget or if that was like something that we would like, but can't fund at this time.
The outdoor fireplace?
Yeah.
We're hoping that we can fund that. We don't have the cost figures on that yet. So once we do, we'll have a better idea what can be funded or not. I do know that we would look for the outdoor player boxes, the plaza, those items to get donor funded, but I'd really like to see if we get that fireplace in the concept, because I think it would just be a nice amenity. As we've seen with our heaters and stuff, people just like to gather out there, so that would be perfect to be able to do that. So
And I like that it's more open along the ring, so it appears that so you can now walk around the outside of the ring, so it won't be so cramped. And
correct.
That's a very nice feature, because I know from standing out there for hours, it's hard to get around. So
yeah, you don't have to go now. We don't have to get the current player boxes. You don't have to go across the ice. You can go around and get in them. So
it's nice feature. Yeah,
Thank
now
you,
this is
Stephanie.
a huge, beautiful improvement
Yeah.
to what we have.
Thank you, Stephanie. I have a couple of questions, real silly ones, but I've got to ask them anyway. Why do we have a TV in there?
Actually, we use it. I don't know if I'm still on the call, but we use it for like hockey games, baseball games, different special events. You could do trivia off there, music videos if you have teens in there. So
great.
We use it a lot. Currently, there's
Okay.
a TV there. We use it for that reason.
But it's not going to be playing continuously while kids are going there to skate, correct?
No, not necessarily. No, it's more for special events and
Good.
things like that.
Great.
Or if we have a camp in there, it's a rainy day.
Yep.
we show movies, stuff like that, but not continuously going. Yeah.
Well, I do like the focus on multi-use, which I'm seeing and kind of feeling with many of these things, and including the fireplace, which would be great when we look to rent this space out. So I really love that, Stephanie. I'm with you. I love that too. The 2-level counter in the front. Oh man, that is so smart. So the people can sit at the counter at desk height, and then there's the raised in metal where the clumpy skates go for the people who walk up to the counter. I just think that's a great design. I'm surprised I've never seen it before. Quick question about the decorative, where the hooks are. You have, I don't know if this is just a plug-in, but you have some sort of decorative background, which appears to be hockey players or something. Has that been settled, or you haven't chosen that yet?
We haven't chosen the exact graphic. We have been showing something a little neutral, at this point, because we haven't had discussions. We're hoping to find something meaningful and something appropriate for the place.
Right.
So this is still to be determined.
Okay, very good. Just in my head, I'm thinking, I know you know this, Anya, but I'll say anyway, if there are people represented, make sure there's boys and girls, and make sure there's hockey and figure skaters, so nobody feels left out. So if that's the direction it goes. The other thing is, by the coffee station, some sort of obvious place for garbage, because that always becomes an issue. Whether it's an insert in the counter itself to be where it's garbage, where you put your hand in and it goes into a can inside, it's space is tight. Just don't forget that, because that could get to be a mess. And I definitely agree. Benches, form follows function. Benches anywhere you can put them. And that was it. Bart, do you have any thoughts on what you've seen?
Yeah, actually, by coincidence, I was just skating there over the weekend, and I have photos that Brian Mazel took of me, if there's any doubt at all that I was there. But no, I like the looks of the facility. One just is in the photo we're looking at now. As I recall, there were individual boxes and maybe 2-level boxes the whole way along there for people to leave their shoes when they put their skates on and go outside. And I wondered if that space would actually be open when the building is completed, or if there would be boxes there for shoes.
Oh, I can answer that one, Bart.
Yeah.
We actually like the open concept a lot. What we found is that when you put cubbies all under there, well, first of all, people are bringing their hockey bags and they can put them under there, so there's not limited space. Not to mention the cubbies get really dirty.
Yes, yeah.
So they're really hard to clean out. So the open works for the bags and everything like that. Otherwise, they're sitting in the middle of the room. And we just really thought that would be a good idea.
Someone said something while I was there. There was a mother who was complaining, and it didn't make any sense to me. She was pointing to I guess the men's bathroom, which would be right behind the photographer here who took this, and said, it's really hard. My son puts his skates on downstairs. He has to walk up the stairs in his skates to go outside. And I didn't understand why anyone would do that. I mean, it seems to me everyone would just put their skates on up here. Is that unusual, or just for some reason do people put their skates on downstairs rather than come upstairs and put them on?
I'm trying to see if Adam's still on this call.
It's because that's where the locker rooms are, Bart.
Oh, there you are.
Right. So, okay, so but Adam, so normally people would, it would seem to me people would come up and put their skates on upstairs, but I guess maybe the kids don't want to leave their shoes upstairs. I don't know. I mean, is it
correct? They'll get fully dressed in their hockey gear downstairs and put their skates on and then come up. It's
Okay.
typically what will happen.
Okay, so and then it has the same sort of and it's got that sort of padding on the floor now. Is that on the stairs so they can just hold the railing and come up the stairs?
Yep. It's all skate safe flooring all the way through the basement and the stairwell.
Okay.
Including the elevator. Including the
And new elevator.
Yes.
There'll be a new elevator, so you can ride that up too.
Okay, so they could take the elevator up. Okay. No, I like it. It's a beautiful, beautiful design. I like it a lot. Are the and I was out on the ice. I wasn't looking at these windows much, but are those windows new? Is that a bigger opening, or is that the similar amount of light coming in?
That's all what's there today.
Is it? Okay.
Overlooking that. Yep.
Yeah, we're not doing, new windows are not in the scope.
Okay. All right. No, it looks fine. Thank you.
Just very quickly, Lisa, I presume you've shown the plans to the pertinent staff, Adam, Bobby, so forth, and of course yourself. And you've looked at it and you are good with the plan?
Yeah, we have a team actually. It was Chris, and actually Chris is going to come back and look at the final designs again with the new Parks Director. But it's me, Bobby, Adam, Parks Director will add Bill and Matt into the mix soon to look at for things that they would look at for cleaning and stuff. So everybody's been very actively involved in the process the whole time. And we meet weekly with White and Olson, the construction management company, just to go over any questions and things like that and answer questions and work on any details. So constant communication.
Great, good. Okay, very good. If nothing else, okay, Stephanie?
Can you just go back to that one slide? That
Which
last
one?
The last one you guys
Which
had
one?
up.
The last one you had up?
Yep.
And this is just me, and I'll get over it because I'll just come and look, but I just can't understand where that opening is.
Which opening?
So right now, like, doesn't that go up against the wall where the vending machines are, and there's nothing behind there? Like, I just don't understand where that room is. So and that's just my own perception. I can't, there's nothing, like, it backs up.
Yeah, so this, you mean where the skate room is? You don't know where that is?
Okay, so like behind this wall, that opening there with that, I'm pointing to it like you can see me. You can't see it.
So are you looking where the wallpaper the skaters are?
Yeah, behind that.
So currently those are windows, right? On top, and I'm moving my cursor around like you can see it anyways. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, we go, Matt. There you go. That's where the office is right now. So when you go in the door, you step up two things and there's an office behind there. So that office is being eliminated and the skate room's being put there.
Got it. Okay, because I just cannot orientate myself.
Well, I will, we'll bring you to Watson. I'll walk you through it because that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, you've probably never been up behind the office to see that. So
right. So I guess my question is, the space that currently exists for the sitting room is still the same amount of space
Yes, correct. It is.
Yep,
Yep, exactly the same.
Yes.
same footprint. Mhm.
That's good. Good question.
If nothing else, we could move on.
That's it. So there's
That's
nothing, we just want to give you an update as we go
Okay.
into final design development, and they're hopefully by the end of the month will be done, get ready to go to bid, and so staying within our timeline, which is hopefully starting June or July. So they're already working on securing things like elevators and
Mhm.
items that we know have long lead time. So they're already looking at all those items and working through that. Elevators, we are part of joint purchase. We don't have to go to bid for those, so we can move ahead faster on some of those items once we know. We'll keep you posted as we move along.
Great. Okay, so I think with that, Lisa, unless you have something.
No,
for
Anya and Matt,
designers?
thank you so much for
Yeah.
being patient with us
Thank
tonight,
you.
and the great design.
Oh,
Thank
my
you.
goodness.
Could be
Thank
not
you,
me, I
Anya
just
and Matt.
really
It's
pleased with the
beautiful.
designs.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you for
evening.
having us tonight.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we have moved other business and we've taken care of other business. Lisa, there was one other item. I just think it's getting too late in the evening. That was the STF request, and I spoke with the STF member, and he is happy to move this forward to our next meeting. So I'll just bring it up in other business.
At the next meeting? Okay,
at the
perfect.
next meeting.
Sounds good to
So,
me.
Given that, let's move on to we have no reason to go into executive session.
We do not.
So, I entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:43.
So moved.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Boren?
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider?
Yes.
I believe Commissioner Spain is left.
She did, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, her thing's on. And President Brooks.
Yes, motion passes. Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. You did a great job.
Thank
Thanks.
you all. For supposed to
Thank
be a
you.
short meeting, it ended up being long, but good job. Thank you very
But
much.
that was so fun to see. It is so fun to see these new designs. That was a
It
great.
is, isn't it?